This lesson is on the meaning and causes of economic growth. What is economic growth? Economic growth is a rise in the economy's output of goods and services over a period of time. Economic growth is usually measured by the real gross domestic product, real GDP. GDP measures the total value of goods and services produced in an economy in a particular period. Nominal GDP measures the monetary value of goods and services produced within a country during a given period of time, usually 1 year, while real GDP is GDP that has been adjusted for inflation. Real GDP shows the value of a country's output that has not been inflated by rising prices. Real GDP will help determine whether more goods are actually being produced because it is possible to produce less products and value them higher due to rising prices. Economic growth is caused by two broad categories of factors. One is rise in total demand or aggregate demand. The second is a rise in the quantity and quality of resources. Number 1. A rise in aggregate demand. If the total demand for products rises, businesses will respond by producing more goods. They do this by utilizing more of existing resources. This usually happens in the short run when productive resources have not been fully used. Remember that aggregate demand is the sum of consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. It has the same formula as GDP. This means that if any of the components of the GDP rises, such as investment, GDP will rise, thereby leading to economic growth. The production possibility curve, PPC, can be used to show economic growth. For economic growth caused by a rise in aggregate demand, there will be a movement from one point to the other. Note that the economy at this time will be within the PPC because there is underutilization of resources. For an economy on point A, growth will move the economy to point B where more of both goods are produced, 300 industrial goods and 500 agricultural goods. If the economy is on B, it can move to point C on the PPC as a result of economic growth. More goods will be produced at point C, 400 industrial goods and 600 agricultural goods. Once the economy is on point C, all resources are already utilized. The only way to further grow is to increase its productive capacity, which happens in the long run. In the long run, an economy operates on its PPC, meaning all resources have been used fully. To grow, it has to increase its productive capacity by increasing the quantity and quality of its resources. Firstly, we will consider how increase in the quantity of resources leads to economic growth. Resources are land, labor, capital, and enterprise. More resources will lead to more goods being produced, thereby causing economic growth. The amount of land will increase when additional natural resources are discovered, e.g. crude oil. Land is an important source of raw materials for production. In addition, more workers, labor, will increase production. Things that increase the quantity of labor include immigration of working-age people, raising retirement age, lowering school entry age, and natural increase. Natural increase occurs if the death rate is lower than the birth rate. If more investment is made, more machinery and equipment can be developed, which would increase the amount of capital. The factors that increase the number of entrepreneurs include deregulation, privatization, and net immigration. If regulations on pollution, for example, is relaxed, more entrepreneurs will be attracted. Privatization, which is the sale of government businesses to the private sector, will increase competition and help more businesses spring up. More goods will be produced as a result. In addition, some immigrants become entrepreneurs and set up their own businesses. The other factor that causes economic growth in the long run is increase in the quality of resources. An increase in quality means productivity has increased. A productive resource or factor will yield more output per unit of factor or input used. For example, The addition of fertilizers to farmland or the use of irrigation can improve the yield or output of the farmland. Technological advancement will create more efficient machines, thereby increasing output. Training and education, and healthcare are some of the factors that can improve the skills and productivity of labor and enterprise. Increase in the quantity and quality of resources will cause a rightward shift in the PPC.